basically the best moment of my life ever. Can we sample that?
I think we just did, actually.
It was about 3 years ago, I came up with the idea of being able to shift aperture with samples. So instead of affecting volume and timbre, it would actually affect the size of the bands. We did strings the first year, brass and woods the second year. And then it was like, well, what have we got to do now? I just think a lot of people, myself included, thought, this is never going to happen. This has taken 6 months to organise. It's incredibly complex. It's because of the support of both AIR Studios and the team at Spitfire, these highly skilled individuals, that this is possible. It's something that no one has ever done before. I'm really into synths, and I was thinking of how you could do Aperture with synths. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to have them going through loads and loads of amps?
I always love having those conversations with Christian where he just says, I've got this great idea, what do you think? He just said, I'm trying to get as many guitar amps as I can in AIR Studios. This is really exciting. You know, I was up early at 6 o'clock thinking about it. You know, like, it's never been done, you know, more than 3 or 4 amps, you know, so to do it with 56 is just totally insane.
This is just mental. And there's more to come, I think, aren't there? There's some bass amps as well.
I mean, seeing it finally in fruition is incredible.
It's amazing. No, it's absolutely mental. Honestly, that's what's so ridiculous, is you have a pint, think of a stupid idea, and then a year later... Music, I often find, sometimes doesn't get the aperture right. You're inside and there's a big orchestra playing, or you're outside and it's not big enough. So, and there are points where you get these aperture shifts. So that's where the idea of aperture came from, this idea of being able to open and increase the size, not just the volume. You're not going to be able to do this for every score that you work on. And because we've got this community surrounding Spitfire, we can afford to go this extra mile that is beyond any composer as a single figure.
Well, if you're talking about having 56 amplifiers at once, which we are, there's 2 issues I see straight away. First of all is you need space. We wanted a big room, so therefore we come to AIR Studios because that's the spiritual home of Spitfire. The other side of things is then the actual physical nuts and bolts of putting together a recording like this. You know, like, is the structure going to make a noise? And how that works then with a sample library, which we still actually don't know until we've done it.
And one of the suggestions was we were just going to put them on the floor. It's like, no, we've got to play with this height. And that's what you can't do with musicians. Occasionally, I know that people, for example, like Hans Zimmer, will put some instruments in the galleries. But what you can't do is put an orchestra in a stack like this. And so I think playing with the height is fundamental to the sound of the room.
No one has any idea what it's going to sound like, which is kind of the beauty of the project. A lot of this so far has just been the journey, planning it all and sort of putting it all together, and now we're all sat here watching it all come together. Can't wait to start putting sounds through it and sort of being blown away. Hopefully not literally, and hopefully nothing explodes, but it's kind of the risk we're going to take, and fingers crossed if it does explode, it will sound good.
It's the first time I'm going to be able to email Hans Zimmer and say, I'm doing something in this barn that you've never done before. And there's probably a reason, because it's going to sound awful. It just sounds like a very clean PA.
Yeah, it sounds like one big amp rather than 56 on their own.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound awful. I think we just need to kind of workshop some sounds and stuff. That's insane. That's basically the best moment of my life ever. I'd love to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, cool, come on.
I just want to see what it would sound like with the modulation wheel. Sounds fucking amazing. I mean, that sounds amazing. What kind of makes me almost tearful is I just had a mental idea and you guys have just kind of approached it like totally professionally, but it's mental. It's like going, I want to go to space in a boat. Right, what's next?
I knew there was going to be quite a few amps in a room, and so I knew whatever it was going to be different. Jamming with Christian on his modular, like we're communicating and we're having these underlying conversations that don't even need words. You know, the sound that's going through it, it's almost like dancing around. It feels like it's coming at you, and at the same time expanding and contracting, like almost like it almost feels alive.
That's mental.
Yeah, there it is. Bunch of sound design, and I cut it to vinyl. We'll play it through the amps.
Cam, can you come out and hear this? Because this is absolutely insane. Isn't that nuts? How it's dancing. That's really surprising because the crackle is dancing between all the amps. And that's the first time I've really heard the separation between the amps. When the guitarist arrived, Leo, he's an amazing virtuoso guitarist, but he's like a sculpture of sound, and I think he'll find that really interesting.
I'm so humbled to even, be invited here from Chicago to come all the way to London to work on this project with you all. It's a once in a lifetime. I mean, when is anyone ever gonna do this?
It's 3 and 8. Yeah.
We began Spitfire 14 years ago with this observation that samples are really boring and uninspiring. So we created a company that creates really inspiring sounds. And the way in which we worked out how to do that was to make sure that every note is different and has its own personality and character. So although you'll be playing as one, it's all about your individual personalities and characters, just like it is with the amps. And what you'll probably find is the signal will dance around the amps, and that's what's going to give us a really kind of incredible experiment. Leo Abrahams, you've done a couple of libraries with us already, and it's just going to be guiding us through.
4 beats, yeah, sounds good. 4 beats and then repeat.
I knew the space, but I had no really impression of how so many amps would sound. And I think the really decision that they made was to have different players. Because if you have just one player through the whole thing, you get like a PA. But when you have different sound sources and different musicians, different human beings, and all their different gear, you end up with something really swarmy and alive and exciting.
3, 4.
I think the reason I was concerned yesterday about it sounding like a PA was that it wasn't going to be different enough. And it wasn't until we started understanding the stack and the space that suddenly we were doing something that was totally original. And that's a really difficult thing to do, something that's not been done before. And as I kept on saying to everyone, like, we're definitely the only people doing this on the planet at the moment, which is a rare thing.
You guys finished? All right. Wicked.
My favourite synth in the world is a thing called a Lyra, and it's a drone synth. I suggested that maybe we get 8 of those to play simultaneously, and I've got some really good friends coming down to play those.
He told me that he was working on this crazy project, and when I first walked into the room, I was just bowled over by the level of production, the wall of amplifiers, the way that everything was set up. It looked like a sound installation in its own right.
And to activate an oscillator, your finger just needs to make contact with both plates.
Before we get into it, let's just do a really quick line check and pitch check. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Nice.
That's ridiculous.
Are we recording now?
This is for real. Amazing, let's do it again. Feedback down. Can everyone put their mix to nothing? Awesome.
Whenever I can give the community something that is totally new, I think that that's important, because we have this creed at Spitfire Audio to inspire a generation of composers. And I just know the value of inspiration because it just makes our job easier. And we write better music and different music. And I think that that's something that we have a responsibility as a group of people, is to move our craft and our art on. It's not just to kind of keep repeating ourselves. We live in a world of temp love, and this kind of stuff will undo that.